Gavra.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem. How's everybody doing? We're continuing in the Iyun Shiurim on Masechta Nedarim. We're going to begin with Daf Gimel. Daf Gimel, we have a very beautiful Sugya. And we're going to talk about Nezirus. What exactly is Nezirus? What is the meaning of Nezirus? Is Nezirus a Neder? Is Nezirus an Issur Cheftza to the wine or to the grape products or to being metame? Is it Issur Gavra? No, it's not that the wine is usher to the person. It's not that the grape product is usher to the person. It's the person is usher to the wine or to the grape product. Is it like a neder? Is Nezirus like a neder, or is it like a shvua? Or is it like neither? Or is it a new entity called Nezirus? That's what we're going to discuss today, the essence, the mahus of Issur Nezirus. Because the Gemara says that Bishlama by Nedarim, you're over Bal Yachel Dvarai. How? Let's say if somebody says Kikar Zu Oichel, the Gemara says on Gimel Amid Beis, and he doesn't eat it, so he's over Bal Yachel. But how do you have Bal Yachel of Nezirus? Once you say Harini Nazir, you're a Nazir. If you eat, you're over Bal Yoichel. If you drink, you're over Bal Yishteh. But you're not over Bal Yachel. The Ran explains, how do you have a situation where the only Issur that you're over is Bal Yachel Dvarai? What's the Gemara's question? What do you mean? Maybe you're over Bal Yachel by eating grape product or drinking wine. So it says the Ran, no, the Gemara's Havamina was that how do we have Bal Yachel similar to Nedarim? By Nedarim, all there is a Issur Bal Yachel. But by Nezirus, since you're also over Bal Yoichal or Bal Yishteh, so it's not similar to Nedarim. Is it that you're only over Bal Yachel in a situation where you're also over Bal Yoichal, Bal Yishteh? And the Gemara says, yeah, in a chanami. Laver alav b'shnayim. Right? According to the Ran, the Shaklavatari of the Gemara is that in the question, the Gemara is asking, how do you have Bal Yachel alone? Because by Nedarim you're over Bal Yachel alone. How do you have Bal Yachel alone by Nezirus? And the Gemara answers, Ein chanami, you don't have Bal Yachel by Nezirus. But the question at hand really is as follows. Why if somebody says, Harini Nazir, behold I'm a Nazir, and he drinks wine, why is he over Bal Yachel Devarai? I understand he's not allowed to drink wine because the Torah says a Nazir is not allowed to drink wine. I understand if he's Matame, he's over Bal Yitame because the Torah says a Nazir is not allowed to become Tame. But why are you over Bal Yachel Devarai? Why are you over? I never said I'm not going to drink wine. Is he violating his word? Why is a Nazir over Bal Yachel Devarai? In the Gemara's Teretz, the Gemara says Laver alav b'shnei labe, that the Issur of Bal Yachel says that even though you're already over Bal Yoichel, Bal Yishteh, you're also, it's to make you violate two lavin. Why are you over the lav of Bal Yachel? I never said I'm not going to drink wine. I never said I'm not going to eat the grape product. I only said that I'll be a Nazir. So I understand the Torah says that a Nazir is not allowed to drink wine. Great! So I'll be over, don't eat or don't drink. Because the Torah says a Nazir is not allowed to eat or drink. But why am I over Bal Yachel Devarai? I never said I'm not going to drink wine. I'm not going to eat a grape product. That's the kasha all the Achronim deal with. Why are you over Bal Yachel Devarai? Why is a Nazir who drinks wine, why is he over Bal Yachel Devarai? There's a very interesting chakira we're about to see. Is what's pshat in Nezirus? Is a Nazir in Issur Gavra, that he's not allowed to drink wine? Is it like a neder that it's an Issur Cheftza, that the wine is usher to him? Or is it a third category, as we're going to see the Marit will say, that there's something called holiest kedushas Nezirus, where there's no Issur Gavra or no Issur Cheftza. You accepted upon yourself the institution of Nezirus. That institution has certain guidelines. So it's not like a shvua, it's not like a neder. It's a new category of Issur Nezirus.
I'm not sure
What?
Sorry.
Now, if it's a new category just of Issur Nezirus, that could be the Gemara's Havamina. The Havamina of the Gemara is that if all I did was I accepted upon myself the institution of Nezirus, I understand why you're over Bal Yoichal or Bal Yishteh if I eat wine, if I eat a grape or drink wine. I understand, because the din of Nezirus is that I'm not to drink wine or eat grape product. But the Gemara's question is, but why would I be over Bal Yachal Devaroi? I never said I'm not going to eat wine, I'm not going to eat a grape product or drink wine. And maybe the Gemara's answer is that no, Nezirus is not a third category. There is no such thing as status of Nezirus. Nezirus means Issur Gavra or Issur Cheftza on wine. So the Havamina maybe is that he never expressed an Issur, and the answer is he did. Nezirus is Issur Gavra, Issur Cheftza. So let's see as far. Let's take a look over here in the Shalmei Nedarim. See that? Okay. The Shalmei Nedarim says, Ela val yachal the Nezirus heicha mishkachasa kiven the Amar Hareini Nazir havalei Nazir achal kamle bebal yoichal shasa kamle bebal yishta Amar Rava lavra lav v'shnayim ayin baran shenidchak lefaresh. Look in the Ran. The Ran was madchik to explain that the question of the Gemara, the kushas hamakshenhu, heichi mishkachasla the ika bal yachal lechudei. How do you find that you're over bal yachal alone? Dumya de Nedarim, similar to Nedarim, deleka elachad lav, where there's only one lav. The loy shava adadi. Otherwise, then it's not similar to Nedarim. That was the Havamina. And the Teretz says v'hamataretz tirates. The Tartan answered, afilu hachi lavar alav b'shnayim, to be over on two lavin, namely the al karchachi kishan akasav. The pasuk is comparing them perforce l'chomash efsher, in whatever way possible lahakish ayin sham. That's how the Ran learns the Sugya. However, the Shalmei Nedarim says there might be another way to learn the Sugya. V'lulei perushai haya efsher lefaresh al pimasha hiveinu el. Had it not been for the Ran, maybe we could explain the Sugya as follows. We brought earlier Divrei Hagaonim, the Maharit, and the Das of the Gun Rabbi Chiel Basan. B'mahus ha-Nezirus, what is the essence of Nezirus? Imhu Issur Cheftza? Is it that the item is Asur, or Issur Gavra, or is it that the person is Asur? Or Geder ha-Mamutza, or is it some kind of medium din, bein Neder u bein Shvua? Shedas ha-Maharit b'tshuva simanun gimel, the opinion of the Maharit, is the Nezirus, Lav Issur Gavra Kishwa. Nezirus is not an Issur on the person. The Lav Issur Cheftza Nedarim. Ela Issur Torah de Rami Rachman Alei. It's Stam an Issur Torah. The Nazir Bahach Shlosh Shadvarim. That it's an Issur Torah that the Torah places on him. That he's not to have Yayin, he can't shave, and he can't become Tameh. It's not an Issur Gavra, it's not an Issur Cheftza. It's an Issur Torah the Torah is putting on him. In other words, he takes upon himself Nezirus, and the din of Nezirus is he's Asur and Yayin in shaving and in Tumah. V'nazir hu inyan tayar shu kadosh. Nazir is just a description of his kedusha. U'kamay b'kedushas kahuna, just like kedushas kahuna she'asra Torah alav kam yisurim, the Torah asra on him many yisurim. Kain al kedushas tayar nazir. Likewise, on the kedusha of the description of nazir, asra ha-Torah hanach gimel dvarim. The Torah asra these three things. So in other words, the Marit learns that Nezirus is not an Issur Gavra, it's not an Issur Cheftza, it's a Torah status, that status is one who is Asur in these three things. V'chein haya saras hamakshan. That was the Havamina. V'kan. The Havamina of the Gemara is the Nazir she'oichal anavim oishoy sayayin, that a Nazir who eats grapes or drinks wine Eino yover ella b'bal yoichal u'bal yishta. The Havamina of the Gemara is that a Nazir that eats grapes or drinks wine, he's only over not to eat, not to drink, that the Torah assered him. But he's not over bal yachel devaroi, because he never said he's not going to eat wine, he's not going to drink grapes. He never said it. The huloi hoitzim pim shum davar lesser atzna b'yayin v'anavim raku kibal alatzma elias b'kedushas v'tayar Nazir. He just accepted upon himself to have the status of a Nazir. The Torah gozer alav, and then the Torah says, oh, well, if you have the status of the Nazir, then you're going to be usher in these three things. So you're going to be violating Bal Yoichal, Bal Yishta, but you're not going to be violating Bal Yachel, Aval Bal Yachel Heichem Mishkachasla. That was the Havamina. The Havamina was not, well, it's not similar to Neder, which you're only over Bal Yachel, and here you're also over other things. The Havamina of the Gemara is, Bal Yachel is not applicable to Nezirus because the guy never said he's not going to drink wine. And what's the answer? The answer is, you got Nezirus wrong. You don't understand what Nezirus is. Nezirus is not a status of Kedusha. Nezirus is Issur Gavra or Issur Cheftza, where you're saying, I'm a Nazir, is enunciating, I'm not going to drink wine. V'ravadim taretz, lavra la b'shnayim soiver, like the Mari Basan. Shaha'omer harini Nazir have a kami, Shaha'omer ye'eser pi lepri hagafen. That Rava's answer is when somebody says, I'm a Nazir, it's like he's saying, my mouth should be usher to the fruit of the grape. My hair is usher to be shaved. My hands are usher to touch a mace. Because once the Torah usher these three things, when you say Hareini Nazir, it's like you're being mefarish b'diburoi that you're ushering these things. So in other words, what we're learning is there's a three-way chakira. What's pshat in Nezirus? Is it Issur Gavra? Is it Issur Cheftza? Or is it just a status? And the way the Shamani Nedarim learns is that's the Havamina Maskana of the Gemara. The Havamina of the Gemara is that Nezirus is a Torah status, and he never said he's not going to drink wine, so he's not over Bal Yachel. And the answer is no. Nedarim, Nezirus, is akin to an Issur Gavra or Issur Cheftza, because since that is the status, that becomes what you're saying. Now in general, in the laws of Shakla Vataria, it's never good to have the Gemara going back and forth about such a basic question of what Nezirus is. Usually we assume both the Makshin in the Gemara and the Tartzin know what Nezirus is, and the Nakuda of what they're debating is usually a much finer point than, well, is Nezirus just a Torah status or is it Issur Gavra? Usually we say that these type of things, they have them ironed out, that the Gemara is not vacillating about them. If you look in the Shagas Aryeh, in Siman Yud Aleph, the Shagas Aryeh also brings out this idea that Lo Yachel Devarim may not apply by Nezirus, because he never, Lo Yachel Devarim means don't profane your word. You never said, you never articulated that you're not going to have from the Yayin. The Shagas Aryeh says, the time of the Milson early, Mishum Sharei, Hai Lo Yachel Devarim, Demaisinan La Behekesha, the Nezirus, this Lo Yachel Devarim, that we bring from a Hekesh of Nezirus, Nedarim, Hare afagav kishamakabel Nezirus alatzmai enoi mefarish behedya. Even though when you're makabel Nezirus on yourself, you're not expressly saying that you aser on yourself yayin and shaving and tumah, but since the Torah asers it on you, so when you say Hareini Nazir and you know you're makabel Nezirus, you're goyreim these three things, so it's like you articulated it. Meaning, the Shagas Aryeh seems to be taking the tzad of the Maharit that Nezirus is not an Issur Gavra, it's not an Issur Cheftza. Nezirus is a Torah status of Kedusha. It's just that since you know that that Torah status comes with certain limitations, it's like you articulated those limitations, and if you violate it, you're over Bal Yachel Devarai. So here in the Avnei Miluim, in Siman Tes Vav, we have an interesting he brings out these different positions and these different approaches in Nezirus. He says, "L'fi mashikasav maharit chelakav simnon gimel yardei levar inyan Issur Nazir mahen." The Maritz Chakira, what is Nezirus? The Yeshmi Shesoiver, some hold, the Nezirus Issur Cheftza. Nezirus is an Issur Cheftza, k'may neder. The have a ka'isar pivliyayin. It's like your mouth is usher to the wine. V'sarai l'taglachas, and your hair is usher to be shaven. V'gufay l'tuma. V'yeshmi shesoiver, there are those who hold. The Nezirus have a Issur Gavra. The Nezirus is an Issur Gavra, k'may Shavua. It's like an oath. The akar kafta, the Gavra manach, it rests on the head of the person. V'umarit sham herach, the Marid speaks about this at length. And he says, V'hele loy k'divrei zeh, not like this opinion, the Nezirus lav Issur Gavra k'shvua. It's not an Issur Gavra like a shvua. V'lav Issur Cheftza k'Nedarim. Ele Issur Torah. Nezirus is an Issur Torah. The Rami Rachman ala Nazar, the Torah places on a Nazar. B'hanach shlosh dvarim, in these three things, ha'asurim b'Nazar. V'hu Iyun tayar Nazar. This is the description of a Nazar, Shu Kadosh. Ba'asra Torah al tayar Nazar, hanach gimel minan. The Torah asers on the identity of a Nazar, these three things. Kama sha'asra Torah, kama Yisurin al kedushas koyin. Ulefizeh yayin da asr b'Nazar. The fact that a Nazar is not to have wine, Inza Issur haba al yidei atzmai. This is not an Issur that he created himself. Ela Issur sha'asra Toyar, Torah. This is an Issur the Torah created. Al Toyar kedushasai, on this description of his kedusha. Kshu over al gimel Issur elu, and when he violates these three Issurim, sha'asra al Torah, hu loika, he's going to give Malchus. But the Avnei Miluim says, "V'gam loika al bal yachal." He would violate bal yachal devarai. Now, why? He's not profaning his word. He never said he's not going to have wine. V'amnam Issur bal yachal inu b'shvil maseh hataglachas v'hatuma oishtias hayayin. The reason he's over bal yachal is not because of the act of shaving or becoming tameh or drinking wine. Sharei lo kiba alav b'neder Issur elu. He never accepted himself in a neder these Issurim. But because the Torah decreed that the identity of a Nazar needs to be careful from these things, and he accepted to be a Nazar. And when he violates one of these, he's violating the Torah's HaNazar. He's profaning his words. So what the Avnei Miluim seems to be saying is that even in the world of the Maharit, similar to the Shagas Aryeh, even though he never said explicitly that he's not going to drink wine, he just created the Torah status of being a Nazir. And Mamela, someone with that status is not to drink wine, but since that is the status, these are the guidelines of the status, and he accepted the status upon himself, he is considered profaning his word. So I'll ask you an interesting question. So basically, Rabbi Isai, according to the Avnei Miluim, the Gemara might not be vacillating back and forth, where in the Havamina the Gemara thought the Marid is right, that Nezirus is a Torah status, and the answer is no, it's an Issur Gavra or Issur Cheftza. The Gemara is sticking maybe in the answer that it's a Torah status, but since that status has these guidelines, it's like he articulated them. So I want to share with you a very interesting shaila. Let's say a guy says, Hareini Nazir min hachartzanim. Right? We know, we discussed in the Gemara, let's say a guy says, I'm a Nazir from grape seed, or I'm a Nazir from grape skin. So there's an opinion that that's a chidush, that he's a Nazir lakoil. Yeah, remember that? On Daf Daled Amud Aleph. That there's an opinion that if somebody said, I'm just a Nazir for one type of grape product, he's a Nazir for everything. Question. Would he be violating Bal Yachal Devarai if somebody says, I'm a Nazir from grape skin, but he never said, I'm a Nazir from grape seed? Now we hold, if he takes on Nezirus from one thing, he's a Nazir for everything. Would he violate Bal Yachel if he had grape skin? After all, he never said he's a Nazir from grape skin. So would he violate Bal Yachel Devarai? That's a very interesting sha'ila. Would he violate Bal Yachel Devarai? He never said it, but the status is there. So the Minchas Chinuch says, even though the Nezirus is chal for everything, he's not over Bal Yachal Devarai, because he never accepted the laws of Nezirus for other grape products. The Torah may have placed it on him, but he never said it. That's the Minchas Chinuch. So the Stipler says, not so fast. according to the Marit, he never says that he's not going to have grape product. But since those are the parameters of being a Nazir, when he says, I'm a Nazir, that's akin to saying, I'm not going to have any grape product, and he would be violating Bal Yachal Devaroi when he has any grape product. So too says the Stipler, even though he never said, I'm not going to have grape skin, he just said, I'm not going to have grape seed. If the law is when you say I'm not going to have grape seed, you're not going to have grape skin, then saying I'm not going to have grape seed is akin to saying I'm not going to have grape seed. And if I have grape skin or the other type, I will be violating Bal Yachal Devarei. So in the world of the Marit, the Gemara has to be saying that even though you did not enunciate the prohibition to wine, but it's as if you did, because by accepting upon yourself the guidelines of Nezirus, you are now limited by all the guidelines of Nezirus. Okay, so that's Sugya number 1, Daf Gimel. So we've learned that there are basically 3 ways to look at Nezirus. Issur Gavra, Issur Cheftza, or it's a Torah status that comes with Issurim the Torah placed on you. And if you learn like that Marit, the Gemara's answer, the Gemara's Havamina was very strong. That's why the Gemara had a Havamina. Maybe you're not over Bal Yachal Devarei. And the Gemara's Mechadesh, that even though you didn't say it, you would still be over Bal Yachal Devarei. And this Chakira of the Minchas Chinuch, of somebody who said, I'm only a Nazir from one type, the Minchas Chinuch's Lashon is, it's in Mitzvah Shin, Parshas Nasai, Shin Samaches, T'chein ha-noizer min davar echad b'vad du nazir gomer m'kamakin efshar alav d'val yache in loikin. Only if you expressly violate what you said. Or he says, since you're a Nazir, even though you didn't say it, it's like you said it. Okay, so that's topic number 1.
Recording stopped.